Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason Dvorkin. I'm the leader of our industry specialist business development team for media and entertainment, games, and sports at AWS. And I'm pleased to be joined today by Michael Convey from the Weather Company. Michael, thank you for coming out. Do you want to
Pleasure to be here.
give everybody here a little background about you?
Yeah, sure. I've been with the Weather Company for about 18 years. Started there as a user experience designer on our Max platform. And for the past 8 years, I've been working as the director of product management for the entire media division.
Awesome. So you just hit on our big talking point for today. So let's dive in on the Max platform. What can you tell everybody who might not be familiar with what the Max platform is, what it does? And it's probably something that everybody in the audience today has seen at some point over the past couple of days.
Yeah, I would imagine they've definitely seen it. So the Max platform is what TV meteorologists use on air to do their presentation. So it's, it's a way to efficiently take in all kinds of weather data and put some amazing visualizations on the screen, to be able to tell great weather stories. So, our meteorologists are using this all across the country. So chances are you've seen our product, if you've viewed any kind of TV weather.
Awesome. So from the radar to the 7-day outlook to the wake up in the morning forecast, that's all you guys.
Augmented reality. I mean, across the board. And not only just on linear TV, but, our TV stations bring this to digital platforms as well. So all across social media.
Very cool. So as we're talking about the revolution of the platform, you guys recently went through a pretty big migration. Can you walk everybody through what that journey looked like?
So our cloud journey, actually started over 10 years ago. The first thing we did is we took our weather data and moved that to the cloud because, as models develop, higher resolution, more models are available. We just wanted to make more and more of that available to the meteorologists. And rather than trying to fill up a hard drive locally at the station, we put all that in the cloud. So you're only pulling down what you need. So we started that years ago with AWS. As we've evolved, we've been on a journey with the cloud. We've then taken other parts of our Mac platform, moved it to the cloud as well. So now what we've done is we've taken all the content that's created, put that in the cloud as well. And that opens up a lot of use cases for our meteorologists. They can share content across their entire station group across the country. It's great for when there's severe weather and you need an additional set of hands to help you create content. So somebody in another location can create that, push it down, and the station that needs it can grab it. Disaster recovery, so there's many use cases for this cloud platform. We were on a cloud provider that, was our parent company. And most recently, we've moved off of that onto AWS. So that's something actually this Saturday will be our final piece that we have to move.
Awesome. Very cool. So when you did this migration, talk a little bit about how much time it took. And obviously we're talking news, we're talking live. So downtime is obviously something to be aware of as you guys are migrating this. What did that journey look like? How long did it take? How did you guys phase and plan that out to maximize getting that product back online?
I'll talk about the timeline, but the first thing I need to say is there's been many products we've built on top of that platform. So there's a lot of different services that we had to move. It wasn't just that one piece, it wasn't just the data piece. It wasn't just the content piece. We have additional products that we put into the cloud built onto that platform. So in total, we're talking, a dozen different services that had to get moved. And over the past 6 months, it's been about a 6-month journey for us to make that move. We're taking our time, being careful, and making sure that there is no downtime, to your point. Worst case, maybe it's a, 5-minute outage that we let our customers know about. And that's usually because there's a DNS change or something like that. But otherwise, their services is been available through this entire transition.
Very cool. So as you migrated, the cloud obviously offers elasticity and scalability. Talk a little bit about covering weather, which is probably one of the more volatile things. When you have these stations that are in a position of impact due to weather conditions, hurricane season as an example, fires on the West Coast. How does the flexibility of the platform enable that scale or that collaboration in different ways that the on-premises world wouldn't have allowed?
Sure. As I had mentioned before, our cloud product allows for that collaboration. So, for instance, we had a TV station in Tampa that was dealing with a hurricane. They were able to work with a station up in Detroit to create content. They took over all of their social posting to free up the folks in Tampa. Um, in addition to that, they could create new content and push it down so the Tampa folks could, constantly be refreshing what they had. They're on the air, constantly. And a hurricane, not as much, but like when there's a tornado, they go what they call wall to wall. And basically they replace all of the programming, and the meteorologists are on full time for hours on end. If they have another set of hands in another location that can help with that, that's a huge win.
And just that creation of that shared library of content, the ability to communicate, like you said, you're not necessarily trying to render all the stuff in a specific location. Each station probably has a slightly nuanced look and feel on their graphics package. All that can be contained and then easily accessible.
Right, because that station that's helping out, they're not working in their own content library. What they do is they log into the MaxCloud product and they're able to access the content for that Tampa station directly, right? So that nuance, that change, that little bit of look and difference, that doesn't matter because now the folks in the second location, they're working directly in the content that you need to have with all the look and feel you have for your station.
Awesome. So a lot has been said about how generative AI is changing the industry and changing the way news is produced, stories are covered. With that in mind, how do you see generative AI starting to play into your platform? How does it change how meteorologists are able to be more focused or precise or targeted to an individual's location or deliver more relevant content than what would traditionally fit in a normal news cycle or news window?
So we actually have a product that we've built on top of the cloud platform that we have on AWS called RealSphere. That product actually can change the content automatically based on the weather conditions, based on your location, and then send it to a targeted location based on, where the person's viewing it. So that we're leveraging AI for that product. We're generating scripts with AI to be able to tell the story. And we're also leveraging AI for the voiceover for that content. So we're able to do content at scale for all these individual locations. Moving forward, we're exploring all kinds of things. I mean, we're looking into how we can use AI to surface content that you may have already created. We're looking into being able to possibly generate content on the fly. We're looking into AI to help with collaboration. We're really AI focused in the next year to do a lot of research and discover, where we can make the biggest impact.
And with that too, so thinking about that content generation aspect, so you mentioned that some of the graphics that you do are for the AR sets and that deeper augmented reality aspect of how they tell news. Do you see generative AI playing a role in creating some of those visuals or aesthetics and places to put data when you have a canvas that's so wide?
That's something we're going to have to look into. I can imagine that would certainly be an area that it could help. Generative AI they can build videos on the fly. I mean, for our purposes, for the scene content that our customers build, whether it's for AR, VR, or just the regular content, it's just taking objects and images and 3D models and putting it into that scene. So there really shouldn't be a reason why generative AI couldn't help in that area.
Very cool. So going back to the migration for a second. So you mentioned 18 years worth of history with this product. If you were to step back and advise other people who might be going through a similar journey, what are some of the things that you learned in the process of these migrations or things that you were thinking about that may have been keeping you up at night that you would advise others on to have a seamless migration as well?
I would say really a lot of upfront planning. One of the big things to think about when you're moving anything to the cloud, is how are you going to maintain resiliency with that product, whatever that may be. You know, if you put it in a single region with multi-nodes, that's one level. If you start going multi-region, you increase your cost, but you improve your resiliency. So those are the things you need to consider is, you know, how are you gonna engineer this and architect it across the possibilities of a cloud infrastructure?
And when you think about that aspect, again, you're serving a wide customer base. Um, how did you explain that to them, or from a product offering of this is an as a service type solution? Was it just more of an upgrade path for these individuals to be able to take the new features, or did it change the positioning of the product?
It's been different things depending on what we've done with the cloud, right? So when we first moved data to the cloud, it wasn't something that our customers needed to purchase. It was just something we decided was the right thing to do to improve the product. So in that case, we went in and just explained what the benefits are, for what we're doing. Moving forward, when we came out with Max Cloud, that was an add-on, right? So people aren't required to move over to Max Cloud. But we walk in and position it with all the benefits. So the things that we talked about, the collaboration, disaster recovery, being able to, you know, share resources across the group, right? Those are all big benefits to using that product. So we walk in and position it that. We never walk in and say, hey, we have a cloud product, you should buy it because it's on cloud, right? I mean, cloud was a big buzzword, 4 or 5 years ago, but that's not the way to walk in. You need to explain why it's important to move to the cloud and what are the benefits to that.
And with it now, have you seen an impact or workflow efficiency for some of your customers for digital platforms or non-traditional linear broadcasting, and just being able to do more now that this content is easily accessible, easily created, and able to now fit the changing demographics that we see the consumers today?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't limit it just to digital. We're seeing efficiencies across an entire weather department. We have a station group that relies heavily on the collaboration piece of this. If they want to roll out a new look to their station group, they can much more easily do that. We actually just added an enhancement where somebody can go in and choose a single piece of content and spread it out to everybody with one click, right? So those kind of efficiencies are there. As far as digital side of it, it absolutely helps in that area because another thing that we do is we have a rendering system that automatically generates content that can go out to digital platforms. With our cloud offering, we can distribute that rendering across the entire group. So again, maximizing the resources. There might be one station that's not leveraging those resources very much, but another one needs additional capacity. So now with cloud, they're all connected as if they're a single rendering farm. And, so everybody can take care of take advantage of the resources that are out there.
Which has got to be awesome, because again, not having to put those resources on site, not trying to factor in more render time, especially if it is a breaking event and something happening, they want to get it out to air. And again, like we said, the consumer trend and the digital space for sure is changing. So a 16:9 graphic that looks great on television doesn't necessarily translate well to 9:16. So being able to put that into practice as part of the product is super cool.
Well, it also gives the station groups a lot of flexibility of how they can set up their stations, right? So this render farm I talked about, you don't have to have the renderers at all the individual stations anymore. You can take those and move those to a hub location. And again, everybody can share those resources.
Very cool. So looking ahead, Gen AI aside, if you could give the audience a little bit of a sneak preview, what are some of the cool things that are exciting to you on the roadmap that could be later this year, could be next year? What are you hearing out there?
Well, I mean, for our own product, we're taking the Max platform and taking it another step. So we've moved content to the cloud. We've moved data to the cloud. Our next step is actually taking the Max application itself and putting that in the cloud. And, that will give stations the ability to reduce the amount of hardware they have. There'll be less maintenance that they have to do on their end. but they can share those resources, just like that Prism farm I told you, that rendering farm I told you about, the Max application. Now they'll have a pool of Max systems that the entire station group can access, and they'll only access it and have to pay for the amount of time that they're using it, right? So a lot of times a station, especially if they're in the Midwest and they deal with convective weather, those stations usually have 4 or 5 of our systems sitting there. Um, Normal day to day, they'll only use 2, maybe 3 of those. So those extra systems are just sitting idle. With moving our application to the cloud, now you're maximizing the resources that you do have and spreading that out across your group.
Awesome. So the scale factor of just that resource sharing coupled with, again, being able to go across the country and pull from the creativity of journalists and meteorologists all over the place. Do you see different trends now, or has there been demand from the community on different types of graphics, different way to view graphics, different data that they actually want to start to track or capture and report on?
Not necessarily different graphics, but definitely expanding data. I mean, one thing that we find is meteorologists, they are the scientists in the TV station, right? So anything that might be vaguely related to science is something that they turn to the meteorologist to cover. So we're always getting questions about astrological data and different things like that. So you do see those kind of requests. So it gets outside of traditional weather. So the more we can spread these resources around, the better. They'll have more time to be able to dig into things like that.
Awesome. And again, just thinking ahead here, so jumping back to generative AI for a second. So you're already doing it with some voiceover. You're already doing it with scripting. Do you see it going as far as creating synthetic meteorologists?
Um, I don't know if I'd say full synthetic meteorologist. You still need a human in the loop, right? But that being said, the next step would be, yes, can it curate the content? Can it help surface things to help the meteorologist tell a better story? The where the meteorologist comes in is they are the local expert, right? They know all the trends in their area. They understand that. Generative AI can take it to a certain point, but you still need that personal local touch.
And where I agree with you completely on that is you trust, right? You trust that meteorologist because you see them every morning or every night. You know they're giving you the information that you want about the weather. And to your point there too on the local flair, you want that context of the why. I mean, I live in Denver. We get a lot of snow. More snow in the mountains than we do in Denver. But I want to hear what's happening in the mountains and understand what that is versus what I might be seeing out my window. So tying that together to create that authentic and local feel is probably key as well.
Yeah, everybody wants to know how the weather is going to impact me, right? I mean, everybody's watching a general forecast usually, but the more that generative AI can surface interesting content and things like that, like I said, it's going to help that local meteorologist tell the story. Local meteorologist is going to bring in what are the community events going on? How does this impact all the different regions? Because to your point, Denver's a great example, right? The mountains are completely different when it comes to the weather versus downtown Denver.
Oh yeah, we could live in 3 different seasons at any point in time, right? Like look at my window, it's summer and they're getting feet of snow and now I'm trying to dust off my skis to go up there. But just in closing here, so as we think about the what's next and where you see this going, what's the biggest rock you think that you guys are going to uncover in the next couple of years with how the weather is presented?
That's a great question. That's the $1 million question, right? Right now we're very focused on trying to help our station groups maximize resources and tell better stories. How it's going to be told in the next 2-3 years, who knows, right? I mean, AI is going to be playing a factor. Some people have played around with AR, VR, some have not. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. This was great. I appreciate your time
Thank you.
today. Thank you.